This video is sponsored by quite possibly the most badass character name line delivery I have ever seen.
My name is Maximus Decimus Meridius, commander of the armies of the North, general of the Felix Legions, loyal servant to the true Emperor Marcus Aurelius, father to a murdered son, husband to a murdered wife, and I will have my vengeance in this life or the next.
Gladiator 2 was directed by Ridley Scott and released in theaters this weekend. And obviously, you guys have seen the original Gladiator film. You know how influential it is to action-adventure films. It's one of the greatest films of that genre of all time. You've got Russell Crowe, Joaquin Phoenix. I mean, it is just stacked to the brim with talent. It's bleeding with style. It is just one of the all-timers for any action movie fan. So, for this sequel, obviously, there was a bit of skepticism going in. How was it going to fare up against the original film? Was it going to be worthwhile? Is it a story worth telling? Are the characters going to be as strong? Well, I'm going to try and answer those questions for you, or at least give you my opinion on those answers to those questions. This will have a spoiler section and a non-spoiler section. I'm just going to ramble on for a minute or so here, give my non-spoilery thoughts, and then give you a rating. And then if you want to see me expand on that rating and tell you why I have certain feelings about the film and getting into more spoilery details, then stay after for the spoiler section, because there will be some great spoilery goodness, some nice bloody discussions in this review, because this movie is gory, man. They upped it up with the gore, they upped it up with the action set pieces in a way that is really entertaining, and I am excited to talk about it. So we have our man Paul Mescal, who was nominated for Best Actor, I believe in 2023's Oscar ceremony for Aftersun. He's here. He is playing Lucius, who is, of course, the child character from the original Gladiator film. And we catch up to him where he has a family, he is living life, he is a fighter just as Maximus was. He is badass in this movie. Now, per se, the acting, I would say, is he does a really great job. Is he on par with Russell Crowe? Russell Crowe. He is a Russell Crowe at acting. No. He's not. Okay, he's great. Everyone in this is great. He's great. Pedro Pascal, as always, is great. Denzel Washington, as always, is awesome. But they aren't on the level of Joaquin Phoenix or Russell Crowe in the original film. They just can't, you can't beat it. Some of that line delivery, the facial expressions, that raw emotion and rage that you get out of those two characters in that film, it's truly unmatched. And that's not a detriment to these actors. Like I said, they do great. It's just not on that level. And really, that's kind of the theme of the movie, where the film has great action, a great story, some good emotional bits in there, some new fun characters, and of course some old ones that you're like, hey, it's good to see them. But it all comes back to not reaching those heights of the original film. It doesn't reach the emotional heights of the film. It doesn't quite bring on the stakes of the original film, where the stakes are so high and you're rooting for Maximus to take his revenge. In this movie, there are similar moments to where you're like, yes, you're cheering, you're excited for Paul Mescal, Lucius. You're excited to see him fight Pedro Pascal's character. You are excited for him to eventually get the upper hand on Denzel Washington. You are excited for those things. But there's not that emotional level to it where you're that invested, whereas Maximus' story, you get the emotional investment, and there's just so much dedication put into that development of that character, where in this movie, you're kind of just thinking back to, well, I really wish that we would get that emotional level that we were searching for with Maximus in the original film. But obviously, you can't go into this expecting the original film. It's not the original film. It's not better. It just does things that are just on a lesser tier than that first movie. Not to say they're bad. It's just not on that level, you know? And I guess with that, I'm going to get into spoilers. I'm giving Gladiator 2 an 8 out of 10 because it has that entertainment value. It has those great performances. It has the cast that you see these familiar faces that you love. You see the set pieces, the action, like I said, the fights. The choreography is awesome. There is more animals in this one. You get rhinos, you get baboons. That's awesome. Lots of gore. You get heads getting cut off. I mean, Denzel Washington in one scene is playing around with a severed head. It's really entertaining. There's just so many highlights along this movie. It just has the unfortunate quality of always harkening back to that original film, so then you are forced to harken back to that original film and think about how much better it did certain things and how it handled certain elements. So, join me in the spoiler section to get more advanced thoughts on those things, but that is my feelings on Gladiator 2. I give it an 8 out of 10. Not a bad movie whatsoever. It's great. It's actually in my top 15 of the year so far. I'll tell you that right now. I really enjoyed it, and I can't wait to get into more detail. So, join me in the spoilers. So, entering spoilers, you have basically a first act of the movie that does feel like it kind of retreads the original film, where we meet, we catch back up with Lucius, as he has a wife now, and they go to battle, and his wife is tragically killed by Acacius's army. Acacius is the one played by Pedro Pascal, and little do we know that this guy, in the initial scene, when he tells his men to kill her, when he tells them to kill the soldiers, and they kill Lucius' wife, you're initially like, alright, this is the guy. This is the one that we're getting our revenge on. This is the Commodus of this movie. But no, they actually do something very interesting where they give a level of humanity to Acacius, where he is this general that is going to war, and he is also very tired of that. He is actually very similar to Maximus in the ways that he doesn't want a lot more bloodshed. He wants to kind of rest. He wants to set that part of his life to the side. He wants to vacation with his wife, of course, Lucilla, and it's all kind of getting to him. It's getting to his head how much bloodshed there has been in the name of Rome, and he just wishes that it could kind of go back to the vision that Marcus Aurelius had for Rome that Lucilla describes. I'm sorry, I need to look up his name here. I believe it's Macrinus. My bad. Macrinus, played by Denzel Washington. And Macrinus is a very devious guy. He knows his way around here. He is, oh man, he does some devious shit in this movie, some Weasley shit. Including later on in the movie when he manages to turn the twins, the emperors, against each other. One of them is played by Joseph Quinn. If you're not familiar with him, he was Eddie Munson in Stranger Things Season 4, and he's going to be the Human Torch for us in the Fantastic Four First Steps next year. And his brother, I'm actually not that familiar with, I'm sorry. But he was great. He was bringing that chaotic energy that you love to see out of these kind of characters. But he turns the chaotic brother against Joseph Quinn's character, and they kill Joseph Quinn. And he ends up killing Lucilla later on in the film, which was tragic. But of course, you have the moment where Lucius does get his revenge on Macrinus, cut his hand off, and cut him to where he dies. That was a satisfying moment. Once again, nowhere near as satisfying as Maximus ending Commodus in the original film, but like I said, this is kind of a movie where you just need to sit back. You need to enjoy it for what it is. Try and think of it as a Gladiator film, but not a sequel to that first movie. Because if you're constantly thinking about it being a sequel to the first movie, what are you going to think about? You're going to think about how is this faring compared to the original, which is fair. You can totally do that. And to be honest, it's quite hard to act like this is just a Gladiator movie and not a sequel, because they are constantly harkening back to the original film. There's constant flashbacks. You even have Lucius putting on Maximus's armor in the third act of the film, which was pretty epic, to be honest. But it's hard to kind of get yourself to detach this movie away from that original film. Acacius and Lucius are forced to fight. And it's crazy because Acacius is obviously told that Lucius is the son of his lover, Lucilla. My God, these Roman names, I cannot pronounce them very well. I'm sorry. Lucilla. And he's trying to convince him, like, hey, we don't need to do this. We don't need to fight. And Lucius is trying to fight him, and then he gets him to his knees. Pedro Pascal, Acacius, he surrenders, and the Emperor gives the thumbs down, but he doesn't kill him. He does not kill him. He puts his weapons down, and he's like, I'm done doing this. I'm done being your weapon. But they kill Acacius tragically, and you have a moment where Lucius gets up and he tells the people of Rome, he's like, "Is this how Rome treats their heroes?" And that was really epic because that inspires the crowd to turn against the emperors. They start rioting and shit, and even in the third act, they are trying to kill a lot of the guards. They are rising up, fighting back, and Lucius ultimately, in the end, after he defeats Macrinus, he tells these two armies that are marching towards each other, it's Cassius's army, and obviously what's left of the Roman army after the emperors have fell, and Macrinus is obviously dead now. So they're trying to go after Cassius's army. Lucius gets in the middle of them, fights and kills Macrinus, and he tells him, like, we don't need to do this. We need to unite. We need to create that future, that better Rome that Marcus Aurelius dreamed of. Now, are they going to make a Gladiator 3? I don't know. That would be pretty interesting. I don't think they need to, but if they do, I'll be there to watch it because I did enjoy Gladiator 2. And let me know if you enjoyed Gladiator 2 down in the comments below. Let me know how you think it fared against the first film. Let me know your thoughts on the first film. Is it an all-timer for you? Or did you go into this movie actually thinking it was going to be better than the first one? I want to hear some different opinions. So let me know. Sound off in the comments below. Take care, guys, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.